How many times did they actually, her poking Caitlin Clark in the eye? And that really had me thinking, like, damn, how many times did they actually, drop the ball and didn't call stuff against Caitlin? Now, Caitlin got called for a technical for hitting the back of the backboard. If somebody viciously clotheslined her, we're not getting a call for that.
The WNBA referees must believe they are hosting a comedy show because their calls on Caitlin Clark are blatantly ridiculous. If it were to hit them in the face, they wouldn't know what a fair call is. 1 second, Caitlin is being body slammed without a whistle. The next, she sneezes, and then there's a technical foul. But the worst part is that they were caught promoting an agenda, and the proof is utterly embarrassing. Fasten your seatbelts because this mess is about to be revealed.
They need to be investigated ASAP. We see what's happening with Caitlin Clark. There's no reason you shouldn't be protecting your star player, because without Caitlin Clark, there won't be no sold-out arena.
After what they did last season, the WNBA referees honestly thought they could get away with treating Caitlin Clark like a random gym class participant. While all the other players received NBA-level superstar calls, they were out there calling fouls if anyone even glanced at other players incorrectly. But Caitlin could get tackled, tripped, and clotheslined, and the referees would just stand there like they were watching a Broadway show.
I don't want to see none of the calls being missed like we seen last year, bro. These referees have to get it together. Now, we know the Indiana Fever front office did everything they had to do, put the right pieces around Caitlin Clark, make sure they make it far in the playoffs, and possibly get a WNBA championship. Well, that part is done. We got a new team, we got a new coach, they got everything they need to do to take off for the 2025 season. The only thing left is these WNBA referees. This need to be talked about, just like it was supposed to be getting talked about at the conclusion of that season. And I'm back on a bumper, bro. I am not letting up on them damn WNBA referees because they are the biggest haters.
It seemed as though they had a code of conduct called How Not to Call Fouls. Caitlin Clark's opponents would literally be practicing their WWE finishing moves on her, and the referees would simply shrug and say she would be okay. Meanwhile, if Caitlin even breathed near an opponent, someone would call security because it seems that exhaling close to an opponent is now considered a flagrant foul.
The offensive fouls are definitely surprising at times. I feel like I do get help.
She sold this flop perfectly. I gotta tip my hat to it. Had her hand on her chest. Most people who flop, they always do the little face thing. And she sold it perfectly. I gotta give it to her. Here's like a play from a different game. Watch Caitlin's reaction.
Excuse me, they got it on Caitlin Clark.
She wanted to really call out the ref.
During some games, Caitlin was so severely fouled that it appeared as though she was trying out for a stunt double part in an action film. Arms flew and bodies struck the ground as the defenders treated her like a human bumper car, but the referees were out there, staring at the Jumbotron.
The viewership on TV would not be like it is now, where everybody's watching it because it's must-watch TV. But we are seeing how she's being treated. She's being pushed around, she's being slapped around, sometimes she's being punched around, and the fouls just keep getting harder and harder.
The TV audience would not be as large as it is now because so many people watch it, but we can see how she is treated. She is being pushed, slapped, punched, and occasionally slapped, and the fouls are becoming more frequent. Let's also discuss consistency, or the total absence of it. In one game, a defender could hip-check Caitlin into a different time zone without calling anything. Then, a random role player had their shoelace stepped on, and the referees ran in screaming like pool lifeguards. The double standard was more outrageous than a rookie attempting to defend a veteran in the post, but best of all, the referees never gave an explanation.
You have to be great as a ref. You have to be consistent. You have to. It can't be inconsistent. It can't be AAU ref.
No responsibility, no recognition, simply gaslighting. It seemed as though the referees woke up every morning and decided how to make Caitlin Clark question reality today. She would get hit harder than a quarterback in the pocket stand up seeking justice, and the officials would be halfway down the court acting they didn't hear a thing at this point. She needed to bring a body cam to games just to get some evidence. Let's not forget the time she was called for offensive fouls for simply existing.
The referees and them not calling fouls like this one last night. Let's just check it out. There's going to be a drive down the court here, right? And we've got another clothesline from hell. This time Marina Mabry on Caitlin Clark.
Naturally, social media captured everything. The referees may have believed they were cunning, but the internet remembers every missed call, every blatant foul, and every instance in which Caitlyn was robbed on the court. It was all captured on camera like a crime show episode, and the WNBA was so heavily criticized that even non-basketball fans were asking, "Wait, how is this legal?" You would think that the WNBA referees were tossing a coin at halftime to determine who would be the next to get in trouble because they were so awful last season, but to everyone's astonishment, Caitlyn Clark ended up getting in trouble more times than anybody could remember. The league is currently looking into these referees, and it's about time because, let's face it, half of them wouldn't even be hired to officiate a middle school basketball game, yet they were out there making calls like they had a personal vendetta against Clark. The most notorious example of this is the now famous eye poke from DJ Carrington. These officials weren't just bad, they were on a mission, a covert society of whistleblowers determined to ensure Caitlyn Clark never had a peaceful night on the court.
She's been going through the trenches this year. They've definitely been,
But you see that? You see how the hand starts out like this, and then she goes down and says, "I'm poking this bitch in the eye."
Basically.
Let's see you make a 3-pointer with one eye,
But again, that comes that goes back to that. If you want to be the greatest, you got to deal with the hate and the haters, and the people that are doing dirty shots and trying to take you out. That's normal.
It's what Jordan went through, right? It's what Jordan went through
for sure.
She had a black eye.
Ah yes, the eye poke moment is so ridiculous that it merits a display in the Hall of Fame. DJ Caring practically stuck her whole hand into Caitlyn's face like she was trying to find the last Pringle in the can, and what did the refs do? Absolutely nothing, not a whistle, not a review, not even a hey, maybe don't assault people on live television. Nope, they let it slide like they had just watched the slowest, most obvious foul in history, and decided, we've seen worse. Meanwhile, Caitlyn breathes near a defender and the refs are already blowing their whistles like a lifeguard spotting a shark. Illegal screen, offensive foul, breathing too hard, looking at an opponent the wrong way. They called everything on her except an actual travel, which, let's be real, is ironic, considering half the league treats the rulebook like a bedtime story they stopped reading in 6th grade, and now the league is actually looking into this. You mean to tell me somebody finally realized, hey, maybe our referees shouldn't be out here officiating like they personal beef with a rookie, maybe someone in the WNBA office actually watched the games and thought, seems a little suspicious.
Example, what really made me start thinking about this was the DJ Carrington situation. Yesterday, I did a DJ Carrington video kind of breaking down that whole thing, technical on that. They didn't call nothing on that for her poking Caitlyn Clark in the eye, and that really had me thinking like, damn, how many times did they actually...
The crazy part, some of these refs might not be back next season, and honestly that's the best news Caitlyn Clark has gotten since she signed her first endorsement deal, because if these refs get replaced, maybe, just maybe, she'll finally get a fair game where she isn't treated like she committed a crime just for existing on the court. But let's not get too excited. Knowing the WNBA, they'll probably just replace them with new refs who still hate Caitlyn, just with different names. Maybe they'll even bring in refs from other sports. Imagine a soccer ref showing up and giving Clark a red card for flopping when she gets actually tackled in the paint. The WNBA refs must have selective vision, because Caitlyn Clark was getting hacked like an old email, and they just stood there like NPCs. Chendi Carter practically tackled her mid-game, and the refs were like, play on. Meanwhile, if Caitlyn so much as breathes too hard on defense, whistle. And the best part, the flagrant on Carter didn't even come during the game. Nope, it took the league reviewing it after everyone went home to finally admit, oh yeah, maybe that was a foul, you don't say.
Saw the play in the third quarter where Carter kind of decked you. How do you respond to that and stay within yourself?
I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. Like, just let them hit you, be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head, and know it's coming. I think at this point, I know I'm going to take a couple hard shots a game. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
The referees watched Caitlyn get hit like she owed people money and decided to clock out early. At this point, they might as well let the defenses bring folding chairs into the paint, because, apparently, anything goes. If a referee were to hand out Gatorade to defenders mid-play, Caitlyn might be pushed into the third row, and these referees would likely call her for game delay. It's really amazing how bad they are at their job. Perhaps they're watching a different game, or they're still buffering, but they keep winning.
When are the refs going to do their job? As a matter of fact, when is the WNBA going to do their job? Because there should be some suspensions, check. There should be some fines, check. And you should be setting an example for your star player. Because God forbid this young lady gets hurt.
For anyone who believes they can simply body Caitlyn Clark like they did last year, things are going to get really ugly this season, because, guess what? The WNBA has a police officer on the court, and her name is Sophie Cunningham. You thought you were going to cheap shot Clark and leave without a fight, but Sophie is watching. She is the self-appointed security guard enforcer and personal bodyguard all rolled into one, and if you even glance at Caitlin, you're already in a headlock. Speaking softly about having 50 hard fouls ready to go, Caitlin Clark then appears to have gone to the gym as if she were getting ready for the WWE. Whatever workout she did during the off-season, it wasn't just jump shots. It was also about ensuring she wouldn't be treated like a rag doll this season.
Alright guys, we're starting a little TikTok weight room vlog. I'm gonna show you what we do.
Get the butt down. Good.
Okay, speed. Okay, speed.
The scouting report said that she's not just taking hits anymore. She's giving them try and bumper now, and all of a sudden you're the one hitting the floor. Now, they're saying that maybe we should reconsider that, but let's not forget the real WNBA villains, the referees. Last season, they were giving away missed calls like free samples at Costco, and this year is no different. If you breathe in Caitlin's direction, it's a no call, but the second she blinks too aggressively offensively, it's almost impressive how consistently bad they are. They'd probably miss a foul even if a player pulled out a steel chair mid-game.
WNBA refs are not consistent. A hit to the arm on one play is a foul, and a hit to the arm on another play is not a foul. The inconsistency is really bad for this league, especially with all these players you got coming in. You got Caitlin leading it, right?
We're back with the same crew that somehow makes every game look like a crime scene, and Cunningham is done with it. She's not even disputing calls anymore. She's just taking matters into her own hands. If the referees don't do their jobs, Sophie will do it for them. You would think that with all the drama from last year, the league would have brought in some competent officials. Caitlin Cunningham is coming off the top rope when you hit her with a cheap screen. Congratulations! You were chosen for a surprise wrestling match, and the best part is that Caitlin is enjoying every second of it. She isn't avoiding contact anymore. Instead, she's initiating it. The other player is stumbling like they were hit by a bus, and she's standing there like a brick wall, barely moving, and she's not doing it politely. If the referees aren't going to call it, she will handle business herself. As a result, the WNBA now has a problem with a duo that is prepared for war. With referees officiating games as if they were watching them from the parking lot, Caitlin Clark, who has been lifting weights like she's training for the NFL Combine, and Sophie Cunningham, who is simply searching for an excuse to throw hands, things are about to get serious.